Hey everybody, so today we're going to be talking about how I edited this photo from Yosemite's Firefall, and that I took this year a couple months ago, a month ago exactly actually. And this is one of my favorite Firefall photos that I've seen, that I've taken, and yeah, I think this editing process was really fun, really cool, and I'm excited to walk you guys through it. So I think we're going to start, I want to talk about this raw photo a little bit. This was a really beautiful golden hour, and I know you're probably looking at this and you're thinking, wow, that's really bright, that's really overexposed, what's going on with these highlights? Yeah, the highlight situation was interesting. I really wanted to just focus on this glow. The glow was beautiful, it was so cool. I think that was one of the best parts of this light, and then I wanted a well-exposed firefall. So that was more my emphasis. I usually don't do that, but my emphasis was kind of exposing El Cap and that glow correctly. And so that was kind of my thought with exposing this photo. I also want to mention that I took this photo with the intention of photoshopping myself into it later, because I knew that I was going to climb up on that little rock and put myself in there. So yeah, this was also crazy, just dynamic range here, like very bright whites, very dark darks. You can see that in the histogram. So kind of a wild scene, but that's kind of the thought process there. So the first thing I did is kind of my base preset. Looks insane right now. It's like a soft-ish preset, like kind of how I start every photo is with this. I found that it gives me the beginnings that I want usually. So we start off with that. I am a fan of this preset. It's just kind of very simple, like low highlights, bright shadows, and kind of a faded, soft look. My lower clarity and my lower dehaze, like kind of what I just would do to every image. And then a little bit of saturation, and a very like gentle tone curve, very neutral. I love like the base look that this gives. So yeah, nothing too wild going on here. I didn't really adjust anything else. This is just the starting point. And then I kind of just balance the exposure. I'm just like making the shadows darker, bringing down the highlights, bringing down the whites a little bit more. I really think messing with that white point is a really fun way to like change the contrast of your image. Very important. But yeah, so now we got this kind of balanced photo. Love how this looks already. This is beautiful. It's very bright up there still, but I think it's just going to be, what it is. I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think that's detracting from the overall photo. So my next kind of thought is that I want to emphasize this glow. This glow is insane. It's so pretty. That light was just naturally beautiful. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to throw a radial filter on. I love radial filters. It's probably my most used editing technique. So you can see we just tossed a big one on there, just a lot brighter. And then we're going to warm that up a little bit too, just add some warmth into that. And it looks crazy when you watch that happen step to step, but it looks natural, the end result, in my opinion. So now we need to just take these rocks out of the radial filter area. So I'm just going to go up into the radial filter and use the subtracting from the mask tool right here. If you guys don't use this, I think this is such a cool tool, so useful to kind of refine your masks. So I just went in here and I selected these rocks with the object tool. Let's see if I actually correctly show that. There we go. So I kind of just used the select object tool and I just went around the rock edge because I just wanted to get that edge like more precisely selected. And then I just brushed out the rest of those rocks that aren't along the edge of the sky. I think that select object tool works really well in Lightroom. I love how useful it is for situations exactly like this one. And then we just brushed it out. I really am kind of like a free-flowing, not perfectionist type of person when it comes to these masking things. As you can see, my brush is just kind of all over the place. But I think the end result is what matters the most. And I don't think you're ever going to pixel peep this and think, wow, he messed up this one tiny little pixel. So there we go. We got our glow added in to the photo. I think that looks incredible. I think this is so pretty. I think for the rest of this shot, I kind of just wanted to crop it in a little bit. I think that the right and left edges were like not adding anything to the photo, in my opinion. They weren't really doing much to make it more exciting, so I cropped into like a 4x5 crop. I think messing with your crops is very fun way to make your images more exciting, more interesting to look at, kind of hone in on that focus area. So yeah, you can see kind of the edges aren't really doing much. I don't think those are adding to the photo at all. And like I mentioned before, I kind of knew that I was going to Photoshop myself into this. So I think having this tighter crop is going to help me place myself right on that bottom left third, roughly, of the photo. So yeah, that is how we arrived here. I kind of messed up the masking a little bit, you can see that, but we'll be able to smooth that all out later. And yeah, I think we're going to kind of talk about the photoshopping process now of how I placed myself into this scene from a different photo. Alrighty, so now we're going to talk about how we placed my little person silhouette into that photo. So this is the raw file that we're starting with for the silhouette. I kind of like how I'm leaned over here. Shout out Tanner Price for taking this shot, helping me with the vision. Yeah, a cool little silhouette. So I got my images right here in my Lightroom catalog. You're just going to open these up in Photoshop is what I did. They don't need to be opened up as layers. I think it's actually easier if they're just going to open up separately. So here we go. We got Photoshop opening up. There's our edited Firefall shot, and then there's my little silhouette from earlier. And yeah, obviously this is still quote unquote real. Like I climbed up that thing. It's pretty scary. I'm still in there. So I just used a little quick selection to select myself. It doesn't need to be perfect, in my opinion. It's just like, whatever. We're going to be able to mask out all these little edges later. So there we go. Got myself kind of selected. And then I'm just going to drag myself right into the other shot. And I'm going to be tiny in here. Kind of like put myself roughly where I want it to be, but you can just zoom in and move around here. I think I'm going to move myself up right onto these rocks. Kind of exactly where I was envisioning placing myself when I shot the original epic golden hour photo. So you can see I kind of messed up that masking. It's not great. But yeah, this is where we're at right now. We just got a little bit of masking to do. And the way that I do this is not perfect. There's probably so many better ways to do this kind of thing in Photoshop, but I'm not super good at Photoshop. I don't use it that much, so I kind of just go with whatever I think will be easiest. Double checking right now to make sure that scale is looking good, make sure I'm not a giant. And then yeah, we're just going to mask ourselves out. I just use a little layer mask right here, little brush tool, and I'm just going to brush away those extra little spaces. And this is why I don't think it needs to be all super perfect. I'm so small in the overall shot. I'm like such a small piece of it, and especially on social media, nobody's ever going to be able to tell if this is slightly imperfect, but just going to make myself look decent. Take away these little white patches from the original photo. Looks kind of crazy, but yeah, we're going to use a smaller brush and I think refine everything a little bit more. Just go right in the neck area, and then I think a little bit around my feet. I do think around the feet matters like a pretty good amount. It's kind of easy to tell when things look super artificial in the foot area, especially like when you're photoshopping a person into another photo. I think wherever their feet are is one of the most obvious signs if it's fake or real. So if you are a sus photoshopper, that's just something to think about when you're doing things like this. But there we go. I'm in there. You can't tell if anything looks a little funky around my feet. I don't think you're going to be able to notice. So there we go. And then you're just going to save that, and it's going to save all those little changes back into your Lightroom catalog. And that's how I added myself into this. Yeah, if you have any questions about that, leave them in the comments. I think this is a really cool shot. I'm really proud of this one. I'm pretty sure it'll be one of my favorite shots of the year. Just such a crazy moment. That edit is a really fun one to walk through. So yeah, that's that editing process. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I ended up cropping it back to 2x3 in the end, but a tighter 2x3, just to focus on myself a little bit more, and finished clearing up that little masking issue on the left of me here. And yeah, that's the end result. Thank you guys so much for listening to this. Hopefully it's not too wild, and like I said before, if you have any questions, leave them down below. Appreciate you guys. Okay, so I went to put the final photo in here for you guys to look at, and it looks like I did make some changes in the end. I think I ended up desaturating it a little bit more. I probably was looking at that initial end result and thinking it was a little too crazy. What I'm sure happened is I put it on my phone and I was like, oh wow, that looks too wild. So this is actually what we ended up with as the final result. I went back to the 4x5 again. And I do think if you don't have like 3 to 5 drafts of every single photo, you're probably missing a couple details. So if you guys made it this far, you guys know the secret of the end result right here. And yeah, thanks again for watching this.